Welcome to the Bodhi Academy. My name is Amisha Kulaso, and in today's video we will learn class 7 chapter 5 physical and chemical changes. Now when we talk about changes in everyday life, we come across various changes in our surroundings. May it be say we are preparing a drink. In that case we need to dissolve the sugar or the powder, whatever is required, in the water. So there is some kind of change that is happening. Then setting up curd from milk is also a change that is happening in our surrounding. So such kind of various changes take place on daily basis. So in this chapter we will come across two types of changes, that is physical and chemical changes. So we'll understand what they are, what are their examples, and broadly study each of them. So to begin with, let's understand what is physical change. Now say I take a example. Okay, say I have in a beaker, I place some ice cubes. So in this I'm placing some ice cubes. So now if I leave this ice cubes untouched for quite a period of time, what will happen is that, and if I sit looking at it, what will happen, this ice cubes will turn to water. So after some time in the same beaker I'll get pure water. Same way, if I have, say I'm maybe boiling some water, in that case also if I continue to boil it, it will evaporate and it will go off at some point, it will change to vapors. Here now, if this water which I have received, if I say refrigerate it again for say 2 hours, in that case what will happen, I'll get back my ice cubes. So properties such as shape, size, color and state of a substance are called its physical properties. So physical properties are the properties that we can visually see. Say now shape. If I have say a paper, okay, and I decide to crumple it up, then its shape is changing. First it was like a open sheet, right? Then if I crumple it up, it will turn into a ball or any other shape. So that is one. Then say size. Now say I'm blowing a balloon. In that case, if I'm blowing air, the size of the balloon will change. If I'm releasing air, the size of the balloon will again change. Color can also change. Say even if we have litmus paper and all, we can visually see the change in color that is happening. And a state of a substance, example is boiling of water. In that case, if you continue to boil, after some time the water will start going off as vapors. So all these changes, they are known as the physical properties and they are visually visible to our eyes. A change in which a substance undergoes a change in its physical properties are called as physical change. Now when any substance undergoes a change in its physical properties like shape, size, color and state, okay, if there is any change in these above mentioned properties, then we say that the substance is undergoing a physical change. A physical change is generally reversible. In such a change, no new substances form. Now say here I took the example of ice cubes. In that what happened, first I took ice cubes, I left it untouched. What happened, it turned into water. Then again I refrigerated, I again got back my ice. So therefore it is a reversible process. I can go from ice to water and water to ice. So it is reversible. Also if you see, the water remained as it is. There was no change or there was no new product that was being formed in this change. So that was about physical changes. Now let's understand what are chemical changes. For that, let's look at some of the examples. A change which is quite familiar is the rusting of iron. So we all have seen that there is rusting of iron that takes place. Almost every iron or steel object kept in open gets rusted slowly. It acquires a coating of brownish substance called rust and the process is called rusting. So any iron or steel material, when it is left open for quite a period of time, it begins to rust. It forms a brownish kind of a layer on top of it, and that brownish layer or that brownish substance, it is called as the rust, and that process by which it takes place is known as the rusting. Now rust is not iron. Never confuse rust with iron. Rusting takes place on iron, but rust is a different kind of iron that is getting deposited on the metal. So a chemical change are also called as chemical reaction. In this case, the chemical reaction is rusting of iron that is taking place. So a chemical change occurs when two substances react chemically to form a new substance with different chemical properties. Now here the iron and the rust was being formed. The rust was the new substance that is formed with different chemical properties. It won't have the same chemical properties as that of iron. All the new substances which we use in various fields of our lives are produced as a result of chemical changes. So most of the things that we use are due to the chemical changes or chemical reactions that occur. Now let's look at this activity. When baking soda reacts with vinegar which contains acetic acid, carbon dioxide comes out, which turns lime water milky. Therefore it is a chemical change. Now say what they are saying is that in a beaker you take some baking soda and you add vinegar to it, okay, and vinegar it is acetic acid, okay. So if you do that, what will happen is that you will see some kind of effervescence or some bubbles which are coming out with the hissing sound. So what is this? That is basically the carbon dioxide that is being released. So now if I have sodium baking soda plus I have acetic acid, in this process I will get water, I will get sodium acetate, and plus I will get something else, that is carbon dioxide gas will be released. This carbon dioxide gas is the reason why that hissing sound comes and that effervescence is released. So now in all these activities we saw that in each change one or more new substances are formed. So what was happening here, the minute you added it to vinegar we saw a change. So what happened, that the water turned, like there was a lime water which turned milky in this case. So there was some kind of change that is happening. Similarly say we have magnesium ribbon, okay. So we have magnesium ribbon and we are burning it in presence of oxygen. So what we'll get, we will get magnesium oxide. It will burn with a bright light and it will have some remains, that is ash, okay. This will be in the form of ash. Now what I do is I take this ash and I add it to water. So when I add it to water, what will happen, the color of the solution will firstly change, okay. It will get dissolved and it will change. What we can see here is that in the beaker, now if I want to see what are the changes that have taken place. Now if I take magnesium plus oxygen, I got magnesium oxide, that is MgO. Then if I add this to water, I will get magnesium hydroxide, okay. Now if I want to check this, what I will do, I will take a litmus paper and I will dip it into the solution and check for it. The blue litmus paper won't change, but the red litmus paper will change to blue. Now why is this happening? Because magnesium hydroxide is a weak base. So its property is that it is basic, correct. So therefore there was a change in the litmus paper. So what did we see now here? First, on burning magnesium ribbon we got magnesium oxide. Then if I dissolved it in water, I didn't get magnesium back. I got a new compound that was formed, that was magnesium hydroxide. So this is what we have said about chemical changes. When a reaction takes place, firstly it is not reversible and also a new product will be formed. Now say there is a reaction of copper sulfate with iron produced two new substances, that is iron sulfate and copper. Now in this case, for this example, let's say I take a beaker. Okay, in this beaker what I do is I add copper sulfate. Copper sulfate plus water is there as a dissolved mixture plus water. Okay, now both of the solutions are initially, okay, in this I have say this solution is blue, okay, because copper sulfate crystals are blue. Now this blue solution I transfer here, okay, in this beaker, and here what I do is I place a iron blade. So a iron blade, and I leave it for some time. What we will see that here is that this solution will turn to green. Okay, now why was this happening? So initially what we had was, we had copper sulfate plus we had water. Okay, then to this you added iron nail. Now what has happened here is that there was some kind of displacement reaction. So we got iron sulfate plus we got copper. Now this iron sulfate is the reason this solution turned green. Initially when we had copper sulfate plus water, we had blue solution, but on adding that iron blade, what happened was this copper sulfate solution turned into iron sulfate, and that is the reason the solution also turned to green. Now in all of these we have seen that in all these changes, one or more new substances are being formed due to the chemical changes. These are permanent changes which are usually not to be reversed to form a original substance. So in none of these examples, on reversing the process, we were not getting the original product, but instead we were getting a new product. Now, in addition to the new products formed, the following may accompany a chemical changes. So, heat, light or any other radiation, example ultraviolet, may be given off or absorbed. Now, when we were burning magnesium oxide, we got a bright light and there was even heat that was given up. The sound may be produced. In case of vinegar, baking soda being added to vinegar, in that we were getting that hissing sound of the bubbles that were coming. The change in smell may take place or a new smell may be given off. In this case what we can see, say you are setting up curd from milk, okay, sometimes what happens, the curd becomes sour, okay, its smell and taste changes, so that is also one change. Color change may take place. Say you have litmus paper that is you are using to check the pH. In that case, the litmus paper changes depending on the solution and a gas may be formed. In that case, we know the example of carbon dioxide that is being released. Now, let's see what are some of the chemical changes that take place in our daily life. First, an explosion of fireworks or crackers is also a chemical change. In this, what is produced? Heat is produced, light is produced, sound is produced, and some unpleasant gases. And these gases are very dangerous for the atmosphere because they can cause a lot of air pollution. Okay, so this is one chemical change. When food gets spoiled, it produces a foul smell. So that is also a chemical change. This shows that a new substance has been formed in the spoiled food which has a foul smell. Maybe probably some kind of bacteria that is being formed. So the spoilage of food is also a chemical change. Next, if we cut an apple into slices and kept it in open for some time, we'll find that the cut surface of apple, it acquires a brown color or it turns reddish. So this change in color is also due to formation of new substance by action of the oxygen or the air. So this change in color is also a chemical reaction. Similarly, if you cut the surface of a potato, same thing, it turns slightly black. That is also an example of chemical reaction. When an acid reacts with a base, then a neutralization reaction takes place in which two new substances, salt and water, are formed. So we know if we take an acid and a base, we call it a neutralization reaction in which the product formed are salt and water. So therefore neutralization is also a chemical change. Now if we look at photosynthesis, so what happens is that the plants, they intake carbon dioxide and water in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight, and they form a new substance, that is glucose and oxygen, glucose or carbohydrates. So photosynthesis is also a chemical change. Now lastly, in the process of digestion, the various food materials, they break down to form a new substance which can be absorbed by the body. So the process of digestion is also a chemical change. Now you see, we have so many chemical changes that happen day to day in our life and we don't even realize. Only if we knew how to distinguish between them, that what are the characteristics these chemical changes show, in that case we can have even more such examples. Okay, so that was it for this part of the chapter. We'll continue in the next video. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the Bodhi Academy.